Welcome, everybody, to another passion interview session with the Lynn Academy. We're so glad you're able to join us. For those who may be new to the Lynn Academy is a global school that was founded by Denise Lynn. And Denise Lynn has so much expertise that she has been so willing to share across so many different aspects of kind of the spiritual world. So, for those who may not know Denise, she has written multiple books on Feng Shui, space clearing, soul coaching, dream interpretation, clutter clearing, so many different topics, but all kind of ultimately focusing on how do we as human beings in this experience really live it to the best of our ability, really tapping into who we are authentically, our gifts, etc. You can learn much more if you go to the linacademy.com website. You'll find all about the coursework and the people. But most importantly, today I want to talk to you about one of those people, Terry Bowen. He is a friend and actually a teacher. He taught me soul coaching as a trainer in soul coaching. Um, but just an amazing individual who's trained in multiple certifications within the Lynn Academy, including soul coaching as a trainer. He does online training. He's a master teacher of interior alignment, so that's feng shui and space clearing. He's an oracle card master teacher as well, and that's just a few of the things that we are lucky to have Terry today to talk through. What we'll be talking about today is really about becoming a soul coach, something that he is very familiar with because he trains many. So welcome, Terry. So glad to have you today.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for inviting me. And yeah,
Of
and
course.
talking about me like that.
Oh, it's just the truth. That's all. So why don't you kind of kick us off by sharing with us how you even started with soul coaching and with the Lynn Academy and Denise, just giving us a little background.
Okay. I'm at that age now where I can kind of say like a long time ago.
Mm,
But it was probably just the early 2000s when I always kind of go back to where my spiritual journey started. Just because it's funny, and that's that it started in a supermarket. Late one night, I was doing my weekly shop. It's Asda in the UK. It's known as more as Walmart in the US. And I went in and I saw on the book in the book section a pack of tarot cards. And I was just kind of like, "Oh, okay, I've always been interested in something else out there. I knew that there was something more. I loved reading the astrology column that we had in our daily newspapers. I loved reading the tarot card that the was in the Sunday magazine that we had in our weekly newspaper. And so when I saw the tarot cards, it was like a moment where I picked them up and they were rather cheap. And so I put them in my basket and just walked on. I didn't want anyone to see me. Um, and it was interesting because I went home and I read the guidebook. It wasn't a traditional set. It was a kind of I don't want to say a cheaper set, but it wasn't kind of the traditional what we see.
mm,
But I shuffled the cards and followed the instructions and then I pulled a card and the message that I got was that I was stepping into a new career. I was stepping into the work that I was meant to do. And at the time I was just like, that's great. I've just applied for a new job. That means I'm probably going to get it.
mhm.
And I was doing customer service at the time. And I kind of thought, that's it, that's it. But the next day I went in and I spoke to one of my colleagues and my friends at work and said like, oh, I got tarot cards last night.
Mhm.
And she actually she put the fear into me because she says, oh, you shouldn't play with tarot cards.
Mm,
And she actually took me to a psychic. And it was my first time of kind of seeing a psychic, and I sat across from this lady in her kitchen. She was smoking her cigarettes as she started to tell me things about me. And then she said, "You're going to be doing what I do." And I was like, "What?
mm.
Smoking cigarettes in your kitchen? No. You're going to be doing readings. You're going to be doing this work." And I was intrigued. Didn't really know what to do with it, but I was intrigued. And she said, "You'll go to a spiritualist church and they will confirm what I've said."
Hmm.
Great. What's a spiritualist church? And I had no idea. Spiritualist church is where a medium, someone who can communicate with those that have passed over, their essence, their spirit,
Hmm.
and give messages of upliftment, of proof of survival of the human soul.
Mm.
Um, and the weirdest thing is that there was a spiritualist church pretty much at the top of my road where I lived,
Oh.
and I used to go past it and just never look at it.
Hmm.
One day I suddenly stopped and there was the spiritualist church. I could see it. And I went in absolutely petrified, and I must have kind of sat there really, really scared the first time, because the medium just looked at me and was just like, "Well, I'm going to him." But I was still intrigued. I was kind of like, I want to know more. So I went back to the next service, and they had services twice a week. And the medium, different medium, didn't know me, I didn't know him, he didn't know me. And he said to me, "You're sensitive and you're meant to be doing this work."
Mm.
And I was just kind of like, wow, two people, complete strangers who didn't know anything about me, telling me the same thing. So I started to train. I trained intuitively. I trained to understand somebody's essence, their soul, and to perceive messages from there. I trained to be a medium, to pass on messages of love and light. And I was in my kind of mid-20s at the time. I got quite good at doing it, but what I found was that people were coming to me and asking me tell them how to live their life, how to do things,
Mm.
what should they do, and it did not sit right with me. And I asked Spirit, I sat and I questioned it, and they said coaching. So I thought, great, perfect. I'm gonna look at coaching. So I found a life coaching school. It
Hmm.
was billed as the best in the UK,
Okay.
and I think and Europe, and I thought that's great, that's fantastic. And I started the training. I paid for the course. I started the training, and it just wasn't for me.
Mm.
The interesting part to that, which I kind of skipped over, is that I asked Spirit 3 times, should I do this training with this company?
Uh-huh.
Twice they said no. Third time they just went, mm-hmm. I took it as yes. It
Mm.
was wrong. It wasn't right for me. And I think deep down I knew it, but I didn't know what I was looking for. And that's when Denise Lynn came into my life.
Mm.
It would have been around about 2006 when I started listening to her radio show on Hay House Radio. So it's kind of, yeah, must be nearly 20 years ago.
Wow.
And listening to her, I loved her energy. I loved her way, the way that she would speak to the people, and connect with them. And her show was called Soul Coaching.
Mm.
And I can't remember exactly how it worked out, but I know that from the 1st of January 2007, she was then offering an online program. It was audio recordings of her talking about soul coaching,
Mm.
going through the 28-day program. So Soul Coaching is a book that Denise wrote.
Mm.
And as Bill said, like she's done space clearing and feng shui, dreams, and kind of many different modalities, and all of it is about, I would say, a lot of her work is about that kind of self-awareness,
Mm.
self image, self understanding who it is that you are and living a life that you love.
Mhm.
And so by taking her book, reading her book, and listening to her daily exercises for 28 days, I found myself with more confidence.
Mm.
And I don't know how else to explain it, but I had a confidence about me that was just different. It wasn't the same.
Sure.
I'm quite a shy person, even though stood on platforms and delivered messages of mediumship to, like, 100, 200 people. I'm still quite a shy person. And so to find confidence was really altering, life-changing
Mm.
for me.
Mhm.
Um, and I followed the book again. I went through the program a second time. Now the soul coaching book is so powerful, and each day you do a different exercise. Each day has a different energy to it. I love the work of Denise, lend into her Native American heritage, where she brings in the elements.
Mhm.
So out of the 28 days, the first 7 days you focus on the element of air, the mental aspect of ourselves, the thinking, the discernment, the judgment,
Mhm.
and as well as the clutter in our lives, both physical clutter, the things that we have, but then also the mental clutter.
Mhm.
The second week is water, the element of water, and it's really connected to our emotions. I kind of say that you spend a week clearing out, dusting, and then you come into water week and you're having a good clean, you're having a good cleanse. You're really kind of purging the old emotions and really embracing things that bring you joy. The third week is the element of fire.
Mm.
And within that week, we're really looking at our spiritual self, aspects of our soul, the essence of who we are, but also shining a light on the shadow, the things that we don't like, the things that we don't want people to know.
Hmm.
And there's a great exercise in there called Move Your Body, Move Your Soul. And you just spend time dancing. And I think, any program that's got a bit of body movement and really connecting to your soul gives you that essence of really stepping into who you are.
Hmm.
And then the last week of the 28-day program is the element of earth, which is really the physicality of life. I have to admit, the first few times I did the program, not a fan of earth. It was boring. I didn't want to focus on my body. I didn't want to focus on my home. It was, that wasn't the things I wanted to do.
Hmm.
I've now reached an appreciation and a love for that element because it is about kind of really connecting to the physicality of our lives and the things that we have, and really paying attention to our body and the messages it holds for us. And I would say, like from the program, the 28 days, there's three levels of exercises in that.
Hmm.
So you have that opportunity to kind of peel away the layers of the onion, um, connecting to your soul.
Hmm.
So second time I did the program, even more confidence. I'm liking this. And
Yeah.
the third time I did the program, I just knew it in my soul. I want to do more with this. I want to kind of help others with this program. And go on.
I mean, no, but that's a beautiful kind of description of the program and
Hmm.
kind of a lot of the different aspects. For someone who's unfamiliar with soul coaching, they may just think, oh, it's just like life coaching. Why do I need to do that today? Why would that be beneficial to me? What do you
Yeah.
think you would tell them if they're just coming to you say, hey, what is this about? And why me? Why today? Why now?
Yeah. So life coaching really has that aspect of aiming for a goal
Mm.
and really kind of like, this is where I want to go and this is what I want to do.
Mm.
And soul coaching practitioners can very much help people do that as well. That's part of our training.
Mhm.
But a soul coaching practitioner and soul coaching in particular is more about connecting you inwards. It's more about connecting with your soul so that you live in alignment with who it is that you truly are, not just based on the experience of life.
Mhm.
Um, an example that soul coaching really helped me with was when I was around 10 years old. My parents had divorced. My father had remarried. My mum was in the process of remarrying. So life had moved on. And I used to go and see my dad every other week, spend the weekend with him as happens with divorced
I
families.
do.
And one year it was Christmas time, and he turned up at our house, or at our apartment block, our flats where we lived, unannounced.
Hmm.
And I was excited. There's my dad. He's here.
Yeah.
We'd finished our weekly shop. It's probably a theme with shopping and transformations here, but
Hmm.
that's another story. Um, I ran upstairs, put the shopping in, and as I came downstairs to see him, I heard him say to my mum that he didn't want to see me anymore.
Oof.
And I held that's 10 years old. I held on to that I wasn't wanted. That was a theme that I kind of carried through in my life.
For sure.
And I never had therapy. I've never been to see someone about it, but it was always something that was there within me.
Mhm.
And I remember kind of going through the soul coaching program and an exercise that came up in Water Week, so around the emotions, and it says, what are some of the turning points in your life, the things that have shaped you into who you are? And I looked at that particular turning point and as to how my life then changed, how I became
Mm.
probably even more quieter, how I probably lost a lot of my confidence because my dad was just such a great man for me at that time.
Right.
And I took that turning point and it was just like, what have you learned from it? And a lot of negativity came up. Well, I don't think I've learned a lot.
Hmm.
But I recognized then that actually my dad did me a favor
Hmm.
because I would never be the person I am now if he hadn't have stepped away from my life.
Right.
And so in some ways it taught me how to be grateful for the experiences that I hadn't been grateful for.
Hmm.
And I will say there's a couple of exercises that helped me with that. But
Sure.
as I was going to say that, we go through the elements, we go through daily exercises that build upon each other to help us to really get rid of the stuff that we no longer need. We
Hmm.
no longer have to hold on to the past as a defining who we are. We
Hmm.
can let it go and embrace who it is that we are at this moment in time and who it is that we truly are.
Hmm.
And for me, I would say that is the beauty of soul coaching as opposed to the life coaching and the things that happen there.
Well, and that's beautiful, and thank you for sharing that story. And as someone who's been through the program with you, becoming a soul coach, thank you. One of the things that I really appreciated was the various tools that are available as a part of soul coaching.
Yeah.
Whether it's oracle cards, whether it is these various exercises, say vision boards or spirit sticks, etc. So there is an approach to me that is always focused on how do you tap into a deeper sense of yourself
Mhm.
to learn more. And
Yeah.
I don't think that's something that's life coaching typically offers, honestly. Um,
No,
but
no.
but so for someone who is, they come to you and they say, hey, you know what, it sounds like you've done some amazing things. I would like to go through the program, but someday I might want to become a soul coach myself.
Yeah.
What would you advise them to help them understand, hey, is this something that's right for me to become
Yeah.
one?
I, when I talk to people, because I love chatting to people about soul coaching, and I love then talking about how to become a soul coaching practitioner or to be a soul coach.
Mhm.
Um, and I always go back to, for me, a soul coach isn't somebody who has all the answers or knows what it is that needs to be done,
Mhm.
but it's somebody that can sit and hold space for a person to find the answers from within.
Mhm.
Whether, if somebody picks up the soul coaching book, for example, and they go through the program, it's written in such a way that you're being held within space so that when you're journaling and writing and going through the programs, there's a sense of safety and security there.
Mhm.
For me, the fundamental part of a soul coach and the first thing I say is it's about holding that space for that person to share the aspect of their life that is maybe very private,
Mhm.
but they know that they need to change and shift in order to be able to move forward.
Mhm.
And I can be, and I'll be honest in terms of the way that people think a coach works, and is that a coach is somebody who fixes things.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if somebody comes to me, they want me to fix their lives. And I will say that as in kind of my day-to-day 9 to 5 job, I was a project manager.
Mhm.
I was an IT project manager where my job was making sure that things were done and fixed. And, if there was a problem, I fixed it
Mhm.
and organizing and sorting things out. So when somebody comes to me and tells me that this is the problem that they have in their life, I sit on my hands most of the time. So you can't see me, but
Mhm.
here's my hands. But
Right.
sometimes when the client's talking to me, I want to fix them. I
Mhm.
want to tell them this is what you need to do in order to sort this out,
Right.
but it takes away their personal responsibility. It's the reason I stepped away from doing mediumship and intuitive readings because I'm not here to tell people how to live their life. I'm
Mhm.
here, I'm here as a soul coach to hold space for them so that they can find the answers for themselves.
Mhm. And I think that
Um,
when they do, what I found is that it is so much more impactful for them, so much more
yeah,
powerful for them, and for me, because
yeah,
you know, so it's an amazing process.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And I won't lie. There's a lot of times when my clients will finish the call and they'll say, "That was really great. Thank you for the advice that you gave me."
Mhm.
And I sit and I think, "What advice did I say? Oh my God, what did I say?" And I was like, "Do you know what? It all came from you. I just held the space for you. You know the answer yourself."
Right? Mm.
And people may think like, "Well, if I know all the answers, then I don't need a soul coach, or I don't need to become a soul coach."
Mhm.
And I would say, yeah, that's true, but how often do you have a conversation where somebody is really listening to you?
Mhm.
How often do you have a conversation where somebody is there for you 110%, even if you're not in that same space?
Hmm.
And how often do you have someone who's there as a cheerleader behind you saying, yes,
Hmm.
I believe in you, I believe in what you can do.
Hmm.
And I think that's the difference. And I don't want to dismiss life coaching because it has a purpose for people, but I
Agreed.
think that with a soul coach is that we hold out, not hold out our clients' hands, but we hold that space for them so that they can make that leap, they can make that jump and know that they're safe in doing so.
Hmm.
Um, but what I really love about the soul coaching program in particular, so is just as you alluded to there, is just the number of different ways that we help our clients.
Hmm.
When I'm working with a client one on one, I they can say things to me, they can talk about what they're doing. And just as an example, they'll say to me, well, I should be, if I want to lose weight, for example, I should be going to the gym. And I'm kind of like, oh, really? Should? You should? Who says you should?
Hmm.
What could you do that would help you get to where you need to be without having that guilt and the implications of this is what you must do?
Hmm.
So it's really about listening and holding that space for the client, not thinking about how to fix them, but to hold the space so that they can really fix themselves.
Hmm. So you've taught and trained a lot of soul coaches. You have many clients. Um, I guess I'm wondering, at the end of the day, what is it about the work that you do that reminds you that, hey, this is really my passion, and I'm so grateful, right, to have taken this path.
Um, it's a good question, and I get it. I get it so often. I I would say it's when a client just says to me, "I've never really thought about it that way," and
Hmm.
it's an eye opener. This has changed. This has changed. This has changed something for me.
Yeah.
One of my clients recently, she said, she was working through the program. She was working in fire element,
Hmm.
and she said, I often say the only time that I can relax is when I'm at the beach. And she said, it's an old Victorian thing for us, go to the beach to replenish.
Right.
And she said, actually, there was one day where she went to work and she actually ended up being at work early. And rather than going in, she just sat in nature. She sat with the sun, the element of fire.
Mm-hmm.
She sat and she allowed herself that moment to just be.
Mm-hmm.
And she realized I don't need to travel miles to the beach just to get the replenishment. Actually, it's available here in on my doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a real shift and change for her because now rather than saying, "Oh, I've got to go to the beach and the beaches are miles away, actually I can just take myself out and have 5 minutes there, replenish, and then move on and do the things that I need to do."
Mm-hmm. Hmm. I love that. So I can feel the peacefulness of that moment. Uh,
Yeah.
so you have been doing this for many years, and I'm sure that there are many ways in which people can reach you and find you. What's the best way if people want to become a soul coach or want to go through one of your programs? What's the best way for them to reach you?
So the best way is, I would say on my website, terrybowen.co.uk,
Mhm.
or .co.uk. It
Mhm.
depends on where you are in the world.
Mhm.
You can search for my name or you can even find me on the Lynn Academy. But I would say my website, there's options there to send me a message, send me an email. Alternatively, there's options there for you to book a session with me.
Mhm.
Find a time in my diary, which is usually quite easy.
Mhm.
But find a time in my diary. But also, if you are interested in the soul coaching program and then becoming a soul coaching practitioner, I love teaching online.
Mhm.
And there's a difference to it. When I did my training, we had 8 days intensive, and there's a lot
Mhm.
of information. And I teach online because I like the flexibility to be able to teach people all around the world. And I'm really lucky that I have practitioners now that I've taught in Australia, in India, in the Netherlands,
US.
the US, sorry, Bill, yeah, in the US, in Lima in Chile, in Colombia, sorry. So I've got students all over the world, and when we get online together, it's there's no space, there's no distance between us.
Mm,
But also because the soul coaching program, especially online, is so rich and there is so much content,
mhm,
often you get a tool bag of things that you can do.
mm,
We have a suitcase. We have a suitcase of different kind of tools and things that you can use.
mhm,
But teaching online over 8 months gives you a real opportunity to embed what you do
mhm,
and then be able to take it out into the world. So when you've graduated and you've certified as a soul coaching practitioner, you're ready to go. You're
mhm.
ready to go no matter where you are in the world. You are ready to do this work and do it with confidence,
Yeah. Mm,
which I think is different because sometimes when you've done like when you've done a course and then you kind of like you're going out into the world, it's like, am I doing it right?
mhm,
From my side, when we're doing it on the online and we do it over 8 months, you really build up your confidence to be able to get out there and do things.
for sure. Mm,
And I would just say maybe I don't know whether other soul coaching trainers do this, and forgive me if they do, but I don't know. But I also build a community of my soul coaching practitioners, and we support each other monthly. We have a monthly get together
mhm,
um, where we do meditations. We talk about soul coaching. We do oracle card sessions with each other, and we share our successes, and we support each other when we're down. So
mhm,
I love the community of soul coaching practitioners that I'm building up, and welcoming from around the world.
mm. Amazing, amazing. Well, our time is about up. Unfortunately, that went pretty quick, but thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Terry, for being with us. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you. Everyone, remember to go to terrybowen.co.com?
UK.
UK,
UK.
terrybowen.co.uk, for more information about him and his courses and the program that's, when is that program, the training happening for this next group?
My next training starts the 13th of September.
Okay, great.
Um, registration will close by the end of August.
Oh, okay,
And I don't teach many people, so my this current class I'll have just 4 spaces.
okay.
Because I'm very, very keen to make sure that you get the most out of the time and that we have that personal interaction as well as the group training.
Yes. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you again, Terry. And thanks everyone for joining us today. There'll be more passion interviews coming as well. So please join us and learn what you might become passionate about in the days, weeks, and years ahead. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Speak soon. Bye.
Bye.